Hi, my name is Troels, and in this video we're going to take a deep look at our new 8Dio Anthology Ensemble art control. And I'm sincerely so excited to show this to you guys. We've been working on this for quite a while, and in this video we're only going to be looking at the arcs, also known as dynamic bowings. And as you may be aware, both in our Adagio and Agitato string collections, we had a variety of dynamic bowings. I think we have over 120. Now, that's a staggering amount. And what we figured out with Anthology is like, why don't we just make them into a couple of patches that just works off the key? But this time around, you can control the velocity in the normal sense that the harder you press on the keys, the more dynamic they become. But you can also control the speed of them, and it's super simple to use. But before we get into that, let me just demonstrate a little bit of the user interface here, because we've made some great improvements in terms of how to use orchestral instruments. And this is really the design we're going to use moving forward for our next generation orchestral collections as well, because it just works and it's ultra fast. Let's say, for example, we're going to make a patch here with a bunch of different short notes. Let's take the spiccato feathered here. Let's take the spiccato tapped. Let's take some staccatos and maybe add a little bit of pizzicato here. And that was that. You've now built a patch with 4 different articulations, and you can see them down here in the key switches. That is how fast it is to use the library if you want to build your own presets. So right now I'm just going to go back here and click empty slot. Obviously this video is not a short note video, this is a art control video. And with this last one up here, I'm just going to select art control, and that's it, done. Another beautiful aspect is that we also have a section mixer now, so you can actually unload and load different groups. So let's say in this video that we only wanted to demonstrate the violas here, you can actually unload all the other guys, and here you go. And you can also build your own patches. So let's say we're going to the basses here, we want to put them a little more to the right. The cellos, let's load them here. We want to put them a little left here. The violas, we're going to put a little bit to the left here. And we're going to load the violins here as well and put the painting a little more to the left. And that's it. And of course, we have a variety of preloaded presets that already comes, but I just wanted to show you this because it's so easy to use. Now, let's get into the arcs. So obviously I've loaded our art control patch here, and this essentially does everything you want it to do. So let me just start kicking it off here by playing the arcs in a sort of more normal fashion like you would do with Adagio or Agitato. I'm not going to get into the velocity and the speed yet. I'm essentially just going to show you the arcs in their core condition, and then we're going to go deep into all the features. So those are the arcs played in their core condition. You can see that the speed knob up here is all the way to the right, which means that the arcs are at their longest. And the method behind the arcs is really unique in terms of their speed as well, and we'll get into that. You actually have 127 different speeds of the arcs, so there's a lot of stuff going on. We also added the convolution reverb, and you can see there's a little bit of convolution on this demo here. I'm using the mixed microphones, but you also got close far. You have an equalizer over here. Let me just play a little more with the arcs here in their core condition. And again, this is sort of how they work in Adagio and Agitato right now, except that we just set our section mixer and everything is lined up perfectly left and right and all that stuff. But essentially the arcs without velocity and speed control. Let me just play a little more with them. Isn't that neat? And as you can hear, the arcs sort of went up and down dynamics. So while they're expressive, the velocity of them is different. And we actually have multiple dynamics of velocities as well. So it's not just that you have 127 speed conditions, you also have all the different velocities. And it's really important to mention, this is just me playing right off the keys. There's nothing else going on. There's no mod wheel, pitch benders, CCs, anything. This is straight off the keys. Let me play another example here, also just using velocity so you can get an idea about how expressive it actually is right on the keys. and it's almost hard to convey how easy it is. It's essentially just playing on the keys. Everything's really built around ease of use. So it's not just that we remastered, reprogrammed, redid everything from scratch, but it was also designed with a completely different concept in mind of usability, playability, just having a good time right on the keys. And as you can see here, there's nothing going on. It's just me playing live on the keys. So let's just do it one more time here with the velocity-based arcs, and then we're gonna get into the more speedy part of things. As I mentioned earlier, we also have speed control in the library, and this is important because it's not just that you have velocity-based controls like I just demonstrated, it is also that you can control the speed of the arcs. So right now we've been listening to fairly long arcs. So let me try to create an isolated experience right now in terms of speed. So if you keep an eye here on the speed knob, you're going to see I'm going to turn it all the way to the left, meaning that the arc is at its shortest, and then I'll gradually move it to the right, and you can hear that the arcs are getting longer and longer as we sort of progress into the piece. And it's almost like the viola stood out a little bit. Let me just see here. Yeah, it was a little bit on the high side, so we'll get the volume down a little bit on it here. Perfect. But let me try to give you another example here of the speed as well. But this time I'm also going to play dynamically. So we're both going to play with velocity-based dynamics and the speed. And again, this is right on the keys. The only thing I'm moving here is the speed controller in terms of controlling the length of the arcs. Let me give you another demonstration here, and in this one I'm going to sculpt the dynamics a little more using expression. And again, you can always assign these to any CC you want by right-clicking on them. In this case, I'm going to use the expression just to sculpt a little more dynamics over the arc, so it's not just that the arc is playing on itself, I'm actually help sculpting a little bit as well on top of the velocity layers. It's a trick I like to do in terms of creating more expression inside of the arc itself. So just keep an eye here on the expression. I mean, for me, that's a piece right there. Right on the keys, we're done. And that is the entire concept of Anthology. Let me also show you here the different articulations actually we have. So again, we're looking at the Ensemble right now. Anthology also includes both Divisi and Solo Strings. And as you can see here, we have sustains, we got legato, different types of legato. These are actually layered in dynamics as well. And we have other videos where we're going into great lengths on these guys. You have the arc control here. You have also arc longs if you want to play them separately, the long ones. We got tremolo, trills, all the different types of short notes. Again, these are multiple round robin and velocity layers, staccato, maccato, pizzicato, bartok, and all that. And then we also have our Sodino strings here, our muted strings, both with sustain, legato, and arcs as well. And then I'll demonstrate the arcs in this video as well because the Sodino arcs are beautiful. But before we get into the Sodinos, let me just play one more example here with the arc control. And the way I'm going to do is that I'm going to start with the slow arcs, and then I'm essentially just going to speed the arcs up. So I'll be increasing the speed and the dynamic velocity as well as I go into the piece. So check it out. and that's sort of pushing the arcs to their absolutely max. But I think you get the idea, you know? You can adjust the speed, you can adjust the velocity, it all works on the keys, and that's the pure joy of it. Let me also, before we wrap up the video here, just demonstrate our arcs muted as well. So right now I'm gonna click arc muted, and that's it. The patch is loaded, we're good to go. Aren't they gorgeous? Those are the 8Dio strings, the muted strings, and they do have a more silky character, and it was important for us to really represent them in Anthology as well. So it's not just that you have traditional strings, but we also have true 8Dio strings. And in many libraries, you'll find that 8Dio is done with EQ or convolution. That's not our approach. We actually record everything with 8Dio, and that goes for our future generation of orchestral products as well. The character of the instrument is vastly different played with mutes. Everything resonates differently, so it's a little hard to mimic just with a convolution and an EQ. Let me just play one more example here of our arc long muteds. These are also beautiful. And I certainly encourage you to watch our other Anthology videos. We have deep videos demonstrating both our legatos, our sustains, all our beautiful short notes, and of course also both the Ensemble, Divisi and Solo has been rebuilt from scratch, reprogrammed, re-edited, tuned, and so forth. There's been so much going into this, and if you ever need help, by the way, always click the little question mark up here, and you can get a full overview of the library. You can also see what CCs the different things are assigned to, and of course you can always change that if you want to change any of these things, both in terms of selecting key switches here, but you can actually also assign it to CCs by clicking this guy here. So it's super easy to use, but let's just wrap it up here listening to the arc long muted notes, and I hope I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much.